Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Empowered Conversations podcast. I cannot begin to tell you how excited I am today for today's guest. It is my very first male guest, and he is someone who's been a friend of mine for over 10 years. His name is MJ Daya. He is the founder and creator of the iLIP, I Live in Peace movement. So, MJ was born in London, England, and at the age of 15, he moved to the States with his parents. He is divorced and has two very powerful daughters. They're awesome. I know one of them. I've met one of them. And MJ has spent literally almost 20 years in commercial real estate. In 2004, he transitioned into the realm of entrepreneurship. That was the same year that he attended a transformational training to reset his true inner paradigm. And that is a remarkable story that the first time he ever told me brought me to tears. And I'm so excited for him to share that. Today, he is involved in various businesses, some his own and some belonging to others. The most enjoyable part of his day is when he facilitates the transformation for people and for businesses. MJ has an incredible and inspiring story, and I'm so excited to have him on today. I'm so excited for him to share this with everyone. So everybody, put your hands together and help me in welcoming MJ Daya.
Well, hey, Stephanie, how are you?
I am doggone fantastic. How are you,
Oh my
MJ?
God, I am so excited to be with the Stephanie.
That's right.
Yes, with D for Rick and Licious. Oh my God,
You
that,
said it correctly.
that is so amazing. I thank you for inviting me on this podcast. It truly means a lot to me.
You're so welcome, and it means so much to me to have you on it. Oh, and I was about to say I didn't want to cut you off because sometimes I cut my guests off because I'm ADD. I love the glasses. I
Well,
love
I'll
them.
keep them on then.
Okay, fantastic. It's a peace sign, but you know what it also kind of looks like? It's the tower, it's the Leaning Tower of Pisa.
Or
Yeah,
Eiffel Tower also, I
Eiffel.
think.
That's what I meant. The Eiffel Tower.
Yeah, because I'll lean it. I'll lean it if you want it to be
Lean
Pisa.
it, lean it. That's what I meant to say. One of those towers. Oh my God. So yeah, so MJ, again, thank you so much for being here today. And you and I have like we've had so many conversations, throughout the years we've known each other. Golly, it's been I think we met in 2008 or 2009. When was it we met? Did we meet through Meetup and Go Social, or did we meet out on the lake?
I think it was just out and about town.
Yeah.
But whether it's 10, whether it's 20, it seems like forever, which is amazing.
Kirk Matthews just jumped on. He says, "Love your glasses, MJ." Yeah, I'm not sure if you can see the comments, but so, as I was mentioning in your, when I was introducing you, you have such a remarkable story. And, what this podcast is about is bringing those stories that created that sense of self-awareness and living with intention and on purpose. And, you are one who is the epitome of living life with intention on purpose, in my opinion, just in all that you do every day, and just your mindset, and just, again, through the many conversations that I've had. And what I want you to share with us is what was like, tell us a little bit about like your adult life, and then all of a sudden, like what was it that happened that brought about that shift in your mindset, and then a shift in your personal journey?
Well, there was some my adult life. So let's just go back to the early 2000s, which was I was just a little kid. No, I'm just kidding.
That's right.
So for me, it was my family was in the hotel industry, and we owned and operated, managed, and built these hotels. And right as 9/11 hit, a few months before, we had opened three brand new hotels. 9/11 hit, and It totally devastated our business.
Mhm.
And that was a tough time in the family. It was a tough time in my marriage, my personal family life. It wasn't easy at all. And then in 2004, my wife at the time, ex-wife now, she attended some transformational trainings. And I saw a remarkable difference in her.
Mhm.
And then she wanted me to attend the trainings. And I was a flat no. There's
Mhm.
no way. There's nothing wrong with me. But I can tell you, I was very self righteous, judgmental, arrogant, self centered as far as my mindset back in those days.
But were you
And
aware of that?
I wasn't aware of it. I became
Okay.
aware of it later.
Mhm.
However, she continuously brought it up, and I would be no. And then we had a magical 15-year anniversary in Wild Dunes in South Carolina. And on
Mhm.
the way
Oh,
back,
yeah.
she brought it up again. And all I said was, when are you going to hear me? I am not going to those trainings. She looked at me as I was driving, and she phrased it in such a way. I said, I'll go to the trainings. And next to my two daughters being born, I can honestly say it's the greatest experience I have ever experienced in my life. And I'm so thankful
Mhm.
for what those trainings have allowed for me, my family, and many of my friends
Mhm.
to really experience life with a purpose
Yes.
and not choose from these insecurities that I didn't even know I was choosing from.
Right. MJ, I just that's one of my favorite stories. I tell your story quite often.
Well, thank
So,
you.
yeah. But so again, so then what was it about that you realized within yourself? Like, kind of talk a little bit about that. Like, because again, you didn't know, and then all of a sudden, through attending these trainings, you had this. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so there are three parts of these trainings, and the part one, it's discovery.
Hmm.
And so I walked into the training. There was 102 people total. I knew one person. That was it. The person that came with me.
Hmm.
And I noticed I was just judging people the way they looked, the way they acted, or whatever, what I used to do. And what I found out during the discovery was there were so many key moments in my life growing up that I was still playing out as an adult.
Right.
And so, for example, being bullied in London from 8 to 15,
Hmm.
I stole money from home, bought candy on my way to school, and then bribed my bullies to be my friends.
Hmm.
30 years later, hey, let's all get together at a bar. It's on me. So
Right.
I was still playing out the need to be liked
Hmm.
and to fit in.
People please.
People pleasing, absolutely. And so that was a rude awakening.
Hmm.
And then, so there's three really important events, but there's been plenty afterwards. Number two was I was a really good cricket player.
Uh-huh.
And it's a sport not commonly known in the US, but in England it's big time. And I was really good. And it was father son cricket match. I was 12. And my father had said all week he'd show up, but then he didn't. And from that moment, I wanted my dad to be proud of me my whole life,
Mhm. Right.
or to say, I love you. But I was never getting those affirmations. And I was still looking for his approval, even in my adult life. And the third, I was a brilliant student.
Hmm.
I studied my butt off in all 11 core subjects, including French and Latin, for 3 years worth of work. And I got into this elite prep school, top 16 out of 1,600. There was only 16 spots.
Oh,
And
wow.
I was so proud of myself. When I got home, my father just said, we don't have the money. You can't go. And so I started um, self-sabotaging through life. And what I
Mhm.
mean by that is subconsciously in my mind, I didn't realize it till the discovery part that I never truly went for anything after that because there's this internal conversation, I'll never get it anyway.
Right.
So I always stop short of greatness.
Mhm.
And plenty of other things. However, um, the experiences and what we make up in childhood,
Mhm.
if we don't put a stop to it, we play it out every single day in life thereafter. And
Right.
this allowed me that. And then the part two, there's a lot of cathartic work, and you're able to just blow it all up. I call it an
Mhm.
emotional enema. And
Boom.
yeah, and so once you get over all of that, then forgiveness sets
Mhm.
in.
Mhm.
Forgiveness of myself and forgiveness of others.
Mhm.
And then the third part is where you put into play your new vision
Right.
and you stay connected from your vision and your purpose. And you have
Mhm.
a coach in every day for 100 days
Mhm.
that's available 24/7. And so it was the, it truly was life defining.
Mhm.
If someone says, I'll give you $10 million today to be the guy I used to be before the trainings, I'd laugh at them. Say,
Right.
no, thank you.
Yeah,
No,
there
thank
is
you,
no
Howard.
price.
Yeah, there isn't. There's no tangible return on investment. But like I said, it's the top three events of my life, and I'm so thankful for it.
Right.
And from that, I went from being a taker and everything I said before, being self-centered, arrogant, all this stuff. People wouldn't see it. It was just what was going on in my mind because
Mhm.
I wanted the need, the desire to be wanted and
Mhm.
approved of and liked overrode anything that I would ever say that was going on in my head. But now I have so many true, genuine, authentic friends, and
Mhm.
I know I'm very approachable, and thus I don't see strangers. I just see a new friend to get to know.
Right. Right.
Yes,
And it also enables you, the lack of judgment within yourself also enables you to have a lack of judgment for others. And that can be tough at times, especially when you see someone with a mindset or doing something that in your mind you go, well, that's wrong, that's not right. But again, it's like, okay, that's the frame of reference, that's the reality and the heart set and the mindset from which they operate their life. But it's MJ, it's like, and it enables you also to see that everything that happened throughout your life, childhood being bullied, because I was bullied, I was picked on, I came home crying, sit in front of the mirror, bawling my eyes out because people didn't like me. And it's again, I don't see that as a victim. I see that as part of the journey, as part of
yeah,
my gift and part of like your gift, your journey to that. Everybody's going to be on a different journey, everybody. But
every
again,
person.
yeah, seeing your gifts for the world to, and I just love that story. That's such an empowering story. And again, so why do you think, because I know you and I have discussed this as well, because I've done similar transformational trainings
Right.
and I've met many men who will tell those stories the same, F that, fuck that. I don't need that shit. I'm good. I'm good. I
Right.
don't need that. And yet they're in these further transformational trainings that you would have to have gone through, uh, certain trainings to get to. And they have like this completely different, relaxed, self aware, purposeful way and an intentional way of being. So, why do you think that? Because you and I had this conversation last week, and you were saying that, women are the ones doing these interviews, women are the ones, the majority. And why do you think so many men are aberrant against like have the mindset that you had 15, 18 years ago?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I'll just use my personal experience and then add a little bit of narrative to it. So for me, I grew up in a ethnic family, Indian heritage, And so there was a lot of things, and plus I'm the oldest in my whole generation. So there was a lot of things that were expected of me.
Mm-hmm.
And however, through watching my parents and through osmosis and sometimes conversations, I was told men have to be strong, boys have to be strong.
Mm-hmm.
They don't share their emotions. It's a sign of weakness. Do not cry. And I
Right.
know that plays out in society, period.
Mm-hmm.
The biggest disservice for men has been fathers. And again, their fathers taught them, and it's a generational thing of not feeling,
Right.
of not sharing emotions, being vulnerable.
That that's
And
weakness.
it's a sign of weakness.
Mm-hmm.
And so we have many men, majority of men, that are out there with bravado and stuff like that. And the beauty of women is they're always on a lifelong journey of bettering themselves. Again, I'm generalizing here.
Right. Right.
And they're very connected to their emotions. Now, sometimes they'll disconnect if because of fear or whatever, or lack of trust.
Mm-hmm.
However, but overall, they're always on a journey to better themselves, and
Mm-hmm.
they can sense emotions in other people where men typically don't. We're doers in life,
Mm-hmm.
and we're told to provide and protect, and that takes sort of like a manly man.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm all those things,
Yes.
but I don't have that bravado, and I'm very connected to my emotions and feelings. And
Mm-hmm.
unfortunately, for men, it's been a disservice. And
Mm-hmm.
I know for me, when I was married, and when my wife, ex-wife now, would ask me how am I feeling, I didn't realize at the time. However, but subconsciously, if I share exactly what's going on, she might leave me, or she might think less of me. And so my patent answer was, "Oh, everything's fine. Had a good day," even though I did.
Mm-hmm.
And so that becomes an issue in a lot of relationships and marriages. And sometimes I'm here to tell men that it's okay to open up.
Oh,
It's
yes.
actually a sign of strength.
Very
It's
much.
very empowering and it's very powerful. Now, when I say from sharing from vulnerability and that, I'm not saying poor me, look at what happened to me, because that's a victim.
Exactly.
However, to be able to express,
Thank you.
I just had a shitty day,
Right.
and I'm feeling overwhelmed or I feel like I'm disconnected. I just want to run away. That's being vulnerable,
Right.
and that's okay.
Well, to speak to like how much of that is biology and how much of that is societal conditioning, and we all possess both masculine and feminine
Right,
energy biologically and metaphysically, however you want to for women there's more estrogen, for men there's more testosterone, but we both still have testosterone and estrogen. And I've always found that I did, like, growing up, even as a child, I was a tomboy. I do possess a lot more masculine energy than maybe some, but, and, what part of that is biology? What is it that's conditioning? But we have to embrace, and as women, so you were generalizing, and you said, yeah, I'm generalizing. So even as women, it's not about, like you said, it's not about being victim, but it's about being transparent, being vulnerable, and that not being a weakness, because we both can um, there's advantages in embracing both the masculine and feminine energy within ourselves.
that's right.
And and for, as a woman, not to see that you're just dismantling or disengaging with your femininity and your divine feminine, just because you allow some of the masculine energy that is naturally a part of you to come through. And again, and I really think that a lot of it is societal conditioning and and creating the mindset. And what I love is that, the people who do, or so many people who do decide that, you know, what's true really matters and what is true, because that's going to be different for every human being. And that cultivating the self-awareness, really asking those questions, doing the trainings, whatever it takes to go within and feel and live your life authentically. That
Yeah. Um, the one thing to remember is whether you believe in God or which God or a higher power or the universe, or however it is for each individual person,
hmm
we are born, the day we were born, we had all of those emotions available to us: vulnerability, power, confidence, self worth, I matter, love, all those, compassion, caring, and also anger, also um, being tense, being anxious. Those are all types of emotions, also.
good and
However,
bad,
when it
yes.
comes to anger, it's feel the anger, just don't take it out on anybody.
Right.
And we get to feel it. If we're angry, we get to feel it. Some people will try and suppress it, and then it comes out as a big blowout later on.
And we can all do that.
Right. And so,
hmm
whether you talk about biology, I think biologically, 99.9% of us have all of those emotions available to us. However, when we grow up and some things happen, some labels are put, some boxes are put, and then we have our life experiences and then the
hmm
beliefs our parents have bestowed on us.
hmm
That and then as we get older, we start our life experiences become a big part of our paradigm and what we make up from those life experiences.
Right. That being
And
key.
yeah, and so then we live out of that paradigm.
Right.
And like going back, I have fun with my dad now because he's done the trainings also.
Yeah.
And he was the most important and pivotal man in my life growing up.
hmm
However, making up that I'm not worthy of my dad when he didn't show up at the cricket match, my whole issues around that could have been different if I had asked him after the match, "Hey, Dad, what happened that you didn't show up?"
Right.
And later he told me it was because he had somebody to fill in at the store that we owned and he never showed up. Now, if I had known that to ask that,
hmm
my whole template that I was living from, I'm not worthy of my dad's love, he didn't show
Right.
up when he said he did, I made a truth out of that.
hmm
And so I
hmm
became a victim of it.
hmm
And if I'd been responsible, I could have, in a loving way, had asked him what happened.
Right. Right. Right.
Right. And
Right.
so, yeah. And so it's like the bullying. I felt like there was no protection for me. Whereas my parents, to protect me, I can't go to them because I hardly see my dad because he's working all the time. So I don't want to be a bother. Whenever
Right.
my
Right.
mom told my dad that I was a bother, I did something wrong, I didn't like that feeling when he chastised me. And
Right.
so the last thing I wanted to do was to talk to him about it. But if I had, he could have done something about it. And that whole the whole trail of wanting to be liked could have been diffused so much earlier. And now with these kind of trainings that are available to all of us,
Yes.
we can stop those internal conversations we have and stop the victim part of our lives
Thank you.
and then move forward where you truly have an empowered way that you want to live the rest of your life. We don't need a paradigm shift because we survive a car accident or cancer or a heart attack. That's where a lot of people shift their
It
paradigm.
doesn't have to take that, is what you're
That's
saying.
right. That's
Right.
right. And so also, I agree with you. Most of it is societal. So, for example, little Johnny, he's 2, 3 years old. He runs around and he sees me and he says, "Hey, mister, you got a booger hanging out of your nose." And then he's running around, no big deal, right?
hmm
Then one day when he's 4, his mom hears him say the same thing to me. And all of a sudden, his mom comes down hard on Johnny and says, "Hey, we don't say that. Go
Mhm.
apologize." So now, subconsciously or unconsciously, what has Johnny made up?
Mhm.
I can't always tell the truth.
And you want to know that you've got that booger hanging out your nose. No, but yeah.
Well, then you'd be a true friend to let me know, right?
Exactly, exactly. And I'm gonna tell you, just speaking of that, I am one of those people. Like if I'm talking and I see myself, because when we're talking, and especially me, because I'm nuts, I can see spit sometimes, and I'll be like, "Oh, I just spit on your face. Oh, I just spit on your shoulder." I mean, I'll call myself out, and because so many people will not want to go, or if I see it, I'll be like, "Oh, you just spit on me," but I'll make it like it's not a big deal. It's a happening. And I just really quick wanted to say, so Siobhan got on and said, "Love your glasses, Minaj." Yeah, girl, she's fabulous. She's my cooking show co-host. And then there's two Facebook users. They're probably commenting from the private Facebook group in which I cannot see your name. Says, "OMG." That should be screamed from the rooftops. It is okay for a man to show emotions, and very healthy, and as well, and women as well. Many times people make their own narratives from a place of fear of asking questions.
True. Very true. And I
Yeah.
don't see the names on those last two either.
Yeah. Oh, so you are seeing the comments. Okay,
Yes, I
cool.
am.
Awesome. Well, so it's, and you can speak, and you have, I mean, just to what that has enabled you to do, how it's enabled you to see the possibilities, the infinite
Absolutely.
possibilities available. And, I say this and I say this and I say this every time I'm interviewed, every time that I even add this in when I'm interviewing, is that the more you enable yourself to open up your mindset, your heart set, and explore, go within, explore, it enables you to the access to the limitless, boundless, infinite possibilities of what is and can be available to all of us.
That's correct.
And so, and you still, okay, so someone else says, I still do rational versus emotional as an approach for things, the tricky slope. If your walls are up about the situation and being honest, allowing the work through the issue. Fear is a freezer. I like confirmation because I know my fears, and that'll help me see the rational point in my decision making. Always searching for the why am I fearing something and looking for ways to work through it. I love that. And if you
Yeah.
could put your name next time you make a comment, that would be fantastic, because I'm only seeing you as a Facebook user, because I'm assuming that you are commenting from the private Facebook group. Defa Reckonlicious and you. so 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 yeah, so tell us about some of your other accomplishments, both professional and personal, that you've been able to achieve through having this open openness about
Yeah.
yourself.
And, I've mentioned my dad previously,
Yeah.
and there was never any show of emotions or any of that in the household growing up, and even as adults. And I remember after completing part one of my
Mm-hmm.
transformational trainings, I did mine in Raleigh, but they're now available here just
Mm-hmm.
outside of Charlotte. And I was driving home with my wife at the time, and I had tears running down my eyes. And my wife asked me what's going on, and I said, "I want to go see Dad." And she said, "Are you sure?" I said, "Yes, I do." So I walk into my parents' home in Huntersville, and excuse me, and I asked my mom where my dad was. She said, "Are you okay?" Because I was still crying. And
Yeah.
she said, "Upstairs." So I finally located him. He was on a short ladder, putting a shelf up. So his back is towards me, and I'm at the door opening. And all I said to him was, "Dad, I just want you to know I love you." Now my voice is crackling. I have no idea which way this is going to go, but I
Mm-hmm.
wanted to share my sentiment of how much I love him. He got back down, turned around, sat on the bed, and started bawling.
Oh wow.
And he got up, we embraced each other, and he says, "You know, I love you too." And so I just asked him, "How come it's taken almost 40 years for us to be able to say that?" And he said, "I never grew up that way."
Right.
So the I love yous and the hugs are just like a everyday part of life in my immediate family and my outside family. Um, and that had him go do the trainings himself, which allowed him to experience the freedom he's been needing.
Hmm.
And then my mom did part one. I've
Yes.
had many family members, many friends.
Yeah.
And so it healed my
Hmm.
family. I don't really like to talk a lot about business and stuff like that because to me that doesn't define me.
Right. That's just a
Um,
byproduct.
and
Some
and
of
the
it.
other, yeah, and the other thing that was very important from these trainings, in life, when someone hurts us,
Hmm.
we tend to block them out.
Right.
Most of us don't want to confront because most of us come from anger when we confront, but the actual word confrontation is actually very powerful because it's confronting something that's in the middle, like the white elephant, so to speak.
Hmm.
Okay. Um, I have a cousin who used to live with my wife and I at the time, and my two very young daughters. And she would look after my daughters.
Hmm.
And she was such a wonderful help. And she wanted to move back with her family. And so things happened, and I felt like I'm not being heard here. And it doesn't matter about the story. However, from that moment, she, her sister, her mom, and dad, I cut them off from my life.
Hmm.
That's my dad's youngest sister and her family. And when I cut them off, to me in those days, they didn't exist. I totally cut them off. And so it was such an issue with my family because I got many cousins, two younger brothers, that it was hard for them, to have a big family event. What will happen if MJ, and because everyone knew. For 5 years, this was going on.
Hmm.
After my part two, I was taking my oldest daughter to her new challenge soccer team.
Hmm.
It was preseason, and little did I know, but she acted like she was in pain. No, sorry, let me back up a little bit. Between the two games, or prior to the games, I had called my aunt, and my aunt said, "We're on our way to Kernersville. I know how much you guys love Serena. Please show up." Now, this is the first conversation I've had with her in 5 years.
Wow.
And between games, I asked them to come to the parking lot, and I asked for their forgiveness. We were all emotional.
Hmm.
I feel like I'm there right now. And they want to know what happened. And I said, it really doesn't matter anymore.
Hmm.
We were all crying, holding hands. That was such an important role. Didn't know about it till the future. But then Serena's complaining of a stomach ache in game number two to, in essence, get us home because there was going to be a big surprise 40th birthday for him. And my uncle and my aunt and my two cousins showed up because I had
Right.
called my
Yeah.
wife to say what had happened.
Right.
And the healing began. And so when Serena attended Wake Forest her freshman year, she had family in town because they live in Winston-Salem.
Yeah.
And and we've never ever talked about any of this. And because it really doesn't matter.
Hmm.
Because a lot of people say, how can you forgive and forget? because I forgave myself more than anybody.
Mm-hmm.
However, it's not forgetting what happened because our brain can't do that. It's forgetting the energy we had on if we felt we were wrong.
Right.
That goes away.
Mm-hmm.
And that went away and never been brought up. And I actually wished my aunt a happy birthday today, even though it's not. But one day I was freaking out years ago. It's somebody's birthday. It's somebody's birthday. Whose birthday is it? I can't remember. And so I left a message for her, and then they all called me back on a speakerphone laughing. It's not my birthday. Later, I remembered who it was. It was my ex mother-in-law's birthday. So every
Right.
year I wish her a happy birthday twice.
Wow, that's hilarious. I love
Yeah,
that.
yeah. So the healing and the relationships, that's really important for me.
And you know, and this is something that just occurred to me, and how that enabled you possibly to be a dad to your own female daughters.
It opened up a lot. It was a struggle at first because there was a divorce happening,
Hmm.
and I was holding on for dear life, emotional, financially, physically, mentally. And so I won't say I was the greatest dad at the time. However, as I got reconnected to the things I learned through my transformational trainings,
Hmm.
being a father has allowed me, without that set of tools, so to speak, have allowed the relationships with each of them, which are remarkably different
Hmm.
because they're both two different people.
Hmm.
But we've had our ups and downs, but I'm in a place where if one of them is upset with me, I don't take it personally. I'm like, okay, there's an upset here. Do
Hmm.
I want to show up like my dad would with me growing up, or do I want to be different? And I always chose to be different.
Hmm.
But we have open dialogue. We talk about everything, including
Yeah.
sex. I mean,
I know. I know.
I mean,
I know.
we're a
I've been
funny
there before.
family. We celebrate everything. We celebrate the first time they had periods and stuff like that. It means they can have children, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
all
It's
that sort
cool.
of stuff, and I celebrate everything. I celebrate life. That's why I chose pink today. And it's a beautiful day
Oh
outside.
my God, it's definitely gorgeous here in the sunny Lake Norman, Huntersville, North Kakalaki area. It's beautiful. And I was, so thankful for that because I mean, like, light affects me. Like it was so dim and rainy, then cold, and it's just like, and oh, it's and it, then, but then you realize, oh, it's beautiful today. Oh, I'm so grateful. I'm so thankful. It's beautiful and today. But MJ, it, I just keep saying this. It's becoming self-aware and loving, and because when you become self-aware, you develop this sense of I love myself.
Yeah, I love myself, and when to love others,
You
whether I agree
must
with them or not,
love yourself.
when I
Yes.
love myself first, then I can truly love another person. And I'm not just talking about romantic, that included, but to love
Right.
another human being.
Right.
And the other thing is when I come from that place of compassion, love, and care. For example, one of my best friends, he and I differ in politics.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I respect his view, he respects my view. People have asked, how can you guys be friends? And I
Right.
said, I connect to certain values with him. None of us are going to connect with every value.
Mm-hmm.
But when I connect with his value of family, of his children being number one, that connects to my value. And that's that my values are the same as far as that is concerned.
Mm-hmm.
That's why we can be dear friends with each other. And there's other things too,
Right.
but that comes from when I can love myself.
Absolutely.
If I
Love myself.
don't, then he would trigger me. And
Mm-hmm.
any person that triggers me, I got to look internally. That tells me to look internally because whatever I'm being triggered, I spotted it in him. that means I have it myself.
Right.
That's all
Eh,
that means. It's a mirror, right? And it
mhm.
allows me to be
Yes.
honest with myself. Okay, what's really going on,
Right.
right?
Absolutely. And I can, say the same exact thing. I have so many friends, and they've been my friends for a very long time, who have differing political opinions. And it doesn't mean that I falter in how I feel,
Of course.
but I can, from a frame of reference, from a frame of their reality, it's creating their mindset, and your eyes, see from your mindset and from your heart set. You can't say you're wrong or you're stupid, or because they haven't had the experiences that I've had that have created my heart set and my mindset. But what I will do is I will continue to be in my power, be in my, and in hopes, especially if I feel like I'm coming from a more of a place of love. But that, again, that's just me,
Right.
that I just be that example, be that example, be that example, without judging, without being an asshole back or saying you're wrong. I keep being that, what it is that I want them to feel and I want the world to embody. So, and let that transpire as it, in whatever way it will. And again, we're all here on a different journey.
Yeah, and I also remember for myself is we're all human beings.
Hmm.
And unfortunately, with that comes that we're all just flawed.
Right, right.
We're never going to get it right all the time. I make mistakes all the time. I fall down, but I'm comfortable with apologizing. I'm comfortable asking for forgiveness because the first thing I want to look at internally is what was really going on that I said that or I did that. And with that said, this past Saturday, I said something to a person I don't know well, but I was out of line. And I sincerely want to apologize to her.
Hmm.
And when I see her next, I will. Doesn't matter about the story or what I said,
Hmm.
but I know deep down after that happened, I didn't beat myself up, didn't feel guilty or any of that. I just looked at myself and said, really, what was that about?
I love that, MJ.
And so when I see her, I will make sure to ask if I can speak to her because I want to apologize.
Yeah.
But it happens to all of us. But that ego for many, and I was one of them, never wanted to view myself as ever being wrong.
Hmm.
And I was very positioned in life instead of having a stand in life. And that's a big distinction. And when we're positioned, it just means that whatever we're thinking, we're just right about it. And we're not open to see anything else. But when we have a stand for
Right.
something, then we're open to seeing other views that may support us. And
Absolutely.
yeah, and so when
Or
I,
the commonality, like you said, that there's still those core values of
yes,
being a father, of your family being first, that other person also shares.
yes,
That,
absolutely.
you
And the
know,
other thing is what I've learned is, again, generalizing boys, when they grow up, tend to either be to behave and be just like their dads, and or rebel completely, which doesn't mean it's right, um, and marry women like their moms.
hmm,
Now, I'm talking about heterosexuals, obviously, right? But qualities in the spouse, the mother. Then, and for girls, they tend to be like their moms,
or the complete opposite.
opposite, and they'll marry again, totally generalizing,
Hmm.
men that are just like their dads.
Hmm.
So, one of the questions I ask when I coach people is, what kind of a son or daughter in law do you want? And they'll say those. I say, great. Are you being those? Are you modeling those ways of being?
Thank you.
Yeah,
You must be what you want to attract.
that's right.
You can't operate your life in a certain way, doing certain things or not doing certain things, and expect to attract somebody that embodies everything that you're not willing to do for yourself.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
There's a couple more comments. Kevin Randolph says, "You're doing great, MJ." What's up,
That's my
Kevin?
roommate and best friend from college.
I know. Y'all have known each other forever. And then we got Laurie Ann Alvine. She says, "You embrace, motivate, and inspire with kindness and compassion and no judgment."
Uh, she,
Absolutely.
she's a wonderful friend in my heart, too.
Yes. And then Don Larotondo. "Enjoyed listening for a few minutes between teaching my classes." Well, that just means that you're going to have to, I would just stop if you can't listen to the whole thing because the whole thing is fabulous. You don't want to miss out on a single second of conversation. So I would just take some time later on this evening or over the weekend when you got an hour and listen. But hey, we're at 45 minutes. Um, we could talk for like another 3 hours. But so but no, anything else, any other gold nuggets, which I love to call them, and you have certainly shared so many today. Anything else you would like to leave my audience with, our audience, because a lot of your friends are on here too, our mutual friends, before we jump off?
No, just if it's for you, men and women, that you want, if you've lost that luster in life, you feel like you keep hitting that proverbial wall, that inner joy has disappeared, find a transformational center because we can read books, which are wonderful, which is a great start, but it doesn't have the holding power
Mm-hmm.
unless you read it every single day. It doesn't have the staying power, not the holding power, the staying power. When you can totally go to a training center like this, now a lot of them are virtual too. It allows you, especially through the cathartic work, and it is hard
Oh yeah.
because your history has been with you a long, long time. And it's there to protect us too, so we don't want to let it all go. There's some good stuff that gets revealed, we keep.
Oh yeah.
We remove the stuff that's holding us back, and then we move forward with additional new beliefs that we add on. Like for me, being a giver instead of a taker, coming from love and compassion and care, which are all very empowering ways of being. But do yourself a favor if you haven't gone on this kind of a journey, and there's many journeys out there,
Mm-hmm.
places where you can start to live that life that's wholesome, full, where the inner joy is always glowing.
Mm-hmm.
Search for one. You can always inbox me for additional information. I'm there for anybody because I'll connect with somebody somehow. But when we can connect with empowering souls that all want to make a difference in the world, it's a
Yes.
beautiful place to be.
Yes. Oh, and real quick, we didn't talk about your ILIP, I Live in Peace movement, but there he has a website and a Facebook page, correct?
I do, but they're all down right now.
Oh, okay.
I am actually because I'm growing every single day, and I've got a new thought process as far as the purpose of it. And that all came about because of COVID. So there's
Oh,
positivity
yeah.
around all this. And so I will relaunch it. I can't give you a date right now. It's not a priority on my to-do list, but it is something that I want to do. And so I'm going to make sure it happens this year. I just can't give you a date. But
Okay.
in essence, I live in peace,
Mm-hmm.
which means we cannot have external peace unless we each individually are internally at peace. And a lot of that comes from self acceptance, forgiveness, forgiving others, and accepting everybody else exactly how they are. They don't all have to be like me. I don't have to like what they're doing or saying, but I can still love them as a human being.
Right.
And then we can have some inner peace, which then translates into external peace. But it seems like a big goal to have it happen in my lifetime, but it'll never happen if I don't stop.
Absolutely. The hardest step is just to take the first step, is just to start.
Yeah,
But then when you're on that journey, and again, it's not even about one course, because it's not about reading one book or doing one seminar or going here. I mean, it's not something that you have to do every single day. I have to be, reading this book or doing this task or that's all about self-awareness. I mean, because once you're on the journey, it opens you up, to again, what is possible, and you just see it everywhere. You just see the possibilities everywhere, and just being open, opening up your heart and your life.
yeah. It's what I connect to is who am I as a beautiful soul?
Hmm.
I know I have my own contract, let's just say,
Hmm.
and I choose that every morning when I wake up. I'm
Right.
thankful God gives me breath. And then I connect to my own internal contract. I am a vulnerable, loving, committed leader. And when I choose from that and other things, and I stand for peace,
Hmm.
um, everything I do that day connects to that.
Yes.
Doesn't mean I don't fall down like I did last Saturday and many other times too in relationships. But I choose to learn from it. I may be agitated at first, but not at somebody. I will look internally. And
So,
if I have to pound the pillow, I will.
yeah.
Yeah,
Okay, so I am a vulnerable.
I'm a vulnerable, loving, committed leader.
Can you imagine if all the leaders around the entire world were from that heart space and head space mindset? Just saying. If anything is possible for anyone, if anything that comes into physical reality first was a thought in the mind.
You're absolutely
Anything
right.
is
And
possible.
and in these leaders, it is possible, but they've got to stop believing the old press that
Hmm.
they've stated about themselves. If they're when they're willing to do that, or have new leaders that are willing to look outwards, not internal. What's good for me? No, what's good for everybody.
Right.
Right? And that can look different for every single person. But if
Hmm.
we can all just become true, genuine givers, then
Hmm.
we would have a pretty cool world overall for everyone to live in.
Yes. Lorianne Alvine says, I'm a beautiful, loving, compassionate, powerful woman. Her contract. Yes, you are,
Yes, she
girl.
is.
Yes,
Yeah.
you are. Well, guys, thank you so much for joining MJ and I. This was such an empowered conversation. Thank you, MJ, so much for being on. And Yeah, I'm not even going to take him out. I'm just going to say, like I usually take the person out and go, bye, everybody. But guys, thank you all so much for your comments, for anybody joining in. There were some comments that came in as Facebook user. I couldn't see who exactly it was if you want to share your name. But again, guys, join me next week, next Wednesday, same time, actually next Wednesday, my girlfriend Carrie Bone is coming on, and she is a brain facilitating coach. She helps people who've suffered brain trauma in whatever way, physical brain trauma. And I'm excited to have her on. But next week, it's going to be 7 p.m. So that's going to be my first evening. And again, it's not about like testing the waters to see if that's going to be a better time. It's that's when she's able to be on, and it was so important to me for her to be on and to share what she does, that we're going to be on at 7 p.m. So, all right, guys.
All right, Stephanie, can I just say one thing real quick?
Yes, yes.
First of all, I want to thank you for having me on here. You truly are a blessing.
Thank you.
You truly are one of the most authentic human beings I know. You are the same no matter who your audience is. You're just a bright star. You are passionate about people, passionate about making a difference. And you just have one of the most lovely souls that I know.
Oh my God. Thank you, MJ. Thank you.
You're welcome. And thank you for having me on your show.
You're so welcome. Bye, everybody. Hold on one second.
Bye.
Don't leave, MJ. I'm going to just end the broadcast. Bye, everybody.